Hey guys, it's Larry Greenberg. Today we're taking a look at the OtterBox Defender for the iPad. Now this case will run you $89.95. It's one of the more expensive iPad cases, but it's also one that provides an incredible amount of protection for your iPad. So before I get to showing you what the case is all about, let me show you what OtterBox includes with the case. You'll get this little folder, and inside you'll find a crystal clear screen shield, a microfiber cleaning cloth, and an install card. Take note, the size of the card and the microfiber, nice and big. A lot of case manufacturers are including the microfiber and card that they include with their iPhone cases. Those are real small. OtterBox, gives you one that's appropriate for the size of the iPad, which I really like. So we're not going to install the crystal clear screen shield on the iPad right now. I already have one on my iPad, but let's take a look at the case itself. It consists of several pieces, and I'm going to kind of break them all apart before we put them on the iPad itself. You'll see the first layer, which is this hard plastic shell. Then you have the silicone that is there to absorb shock and impact. Then you have the shield that covers the front of the device, and this also doubles as a stand. We'll get to that in a second. First, let's go about installing the iPad into the case. It's not an easy process. It's definitely one that once you get done, you're probably going to want to leave alone and leave this case on all the time. You can see the first step is to install the iPad into the plastic shell, and the shell is lined with felt, so you don't have to worry about scratching your iPad. It is a pretty tight fit. You're going to want to make sure that you get the iPad fully seated all the way down to the bottom. Make sure it's all the way in there, and make sure that your home button lines up properly. You can see on the back the Apple logo is shining through that window. This has a built-in screen protector in there to protect your Apple logo. So once you have the bottom part on, you take the top piece and you slide that on as well. You can see everything kind of locks in place with these notches right here. Okay, so that's good to go. I'll get to this removable bottom piece in a minute. Once you got the shell on, the next step is to install the silicone layer. That goes on pretty easily. If you saw my review of the iPhone 4 Defender case, this is pretty similar process. You just kind of wrap it around, and it has these notches that kind of meet and guide the silicone layer onto the hard shell. Now it has a little flap for the home button that you have to kind of line up and stick inside there, and then there's just all these little notches that kind of go around the outside of the iPad and lock the silicone layer around the hard plastic shell. So it takes a few minutes just to line everything up. Take your time, make sure everything's kind of locked in place, all the little nubs are in their appropriate position. So once you've got it all installed, this is the final look. You can see it kind of creates a seal all the way around the outside, all the little notches and grooves locked together. Let's take a look at all the ports and buttons and everything. Here's the back. Like I mentioned, your Apple logo shining through that crystal clear screen protector. Here's the cover I mentioned earlier. This actually pops off, so when you want to go to charge and sync your iPad, you do not have to remove all this. You can do so right there. When you're ready to go out again, simply slide this thing back on. This is kind of a soft touch rubberized material that matches the silicone layer, but it's still hard. Everything lines up, it looks great. You can see on the bottom you've got cutouts there for your speakers, so even when that cover's on, you're still going to be able to hear your sounds coming through. On the side there, you've got a full cover for your volume rocker and the orientation lock, but you just flip that up, you can get to that no problem. On the top, there's a full cover for the sleep awake button. You get really nice feedback when you press it. It's a little bit harder than most cases, but it still fires most every time you press it. You can see there that the secondary microphone has a permanent cutout. The headset jack is covered. It's pretty deep. Once you pull that little cover away, you're able to access that headset jack, but it's a rather deep cutout there. You'll have to test a lot of different headphones to make sure everything fits in there. So as I mentioned, the Defender gives you a nice amount of shock and impact protection. That doesn't, however, come without a price. This is a pretty heavy case. You know, if you require that kind of protection, you'll appreciate it, but it does, add a considerable amount of weight to the overall feel of the iPad. You can see as far as where it covers almost all of that outer rim. Really, the only thing you see is the viewable area of the screen, which is nice. You know, you get a nice grip, good feel, just a little bit of extra weight. When you're ready to go out and you want to protect your screen, you can take the cover that they include and snap it on. If you notice these little nubs here on the sides, the actual cover will lock right in there, and that's what keeps it in place. Now you've got 100% full protection. This is like a tank. Nothing is going to damage this. You know, if you want to throw it in the seat of your car, if you're going to drop it anywhere, this is going to offer you really the most amount of protection I've seen. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, the cover doubles as a stand. You can actually slide this thing up, and now you have a stand for your iPad that you can use, watch videos with. So to use the stand, you just pop it up like so, take your iPad, stick it in there, and there you go. You're at a nice angle to not only type on, but to watch videos. It places it in a really, really nice viewing angle. I like it a lot. It's really only meant to be used in the landscape mode, though, however. Can't really use it as the stand in portrait mode very well. It kind of slips around. I really like my iPad mostly, I would say 100% of the time, in landscape mode. That wasn't always the case, but I found myself using it in landscape mode more and more, so I appreciate, the stand operating this way. So again, when you're ready to go back to, covering it, simply flip that down, pop this back on, and you're back to, that 100% protection. So that is a brief look at the OtterBox Defender for the iPad. Again, there's not really a case on the market that offers this kind of protection, one that I've seen anyway. Available for $89.95 directly from OtterBox, link in the video description. If you have any questions about this case, feel free to drop me a line. Otherwise, you have a great day.